Hi, everybody. It's me, Harjap, Bhangal from GLS Solicitors. Um, this week, we have a very important guest and a very important question that needs to be answered. I'm getting a lot of emails and questions from people asking me about a business visa or an innovator visa or a startup visa. They've heard these words going around, but actually no one seems to understand the concept. And it's such a confusing area of law that I've had to draft in the expert on it, Nigel Birch from the Business Gym, who's now going to explain everything and all the differences. Because if I start explaining it to you, then you're even going to get even more confused than we are already. Hi, Nigel. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks very much for inviting me on today. And thanks very much for calling me an expert as well.
Oh, well, you are. You're the man we go to when we hear these phrases. First of all, Nigel, what is an innovator? And I'm sure you get these questions all the time. That's why you have the answers.
Okay. Innovation in itself is a really interesting topic, and laid end to end across the world, all of the academics will have a different view. But importantly, in the context of today's discussion around visas and coming to the United Kingdom, innovation is a very simple explanation. It means that you are providing something new to market, something that has novelty in it. So it's not about creating the next iPhone or landing on Mars. It can be small incremental improvement to an existing service or product, but that it is novel and new to market. And it's demonstrating that novelty in a clear and concise way is that sort of wins the day, if you will, on how is it innovative? What are you trying to do? And how is it differentiating itself from the market?
So in relation to visas, would it be simpler for me to say, or would it be better for me to say, for the audience sake, that you have to do something new, which currently doesn't exist in the UK, and you have to, the idea is not do something that's already about in the UK. You have to add value to something that's already existing.
The description of add value is probably better. I'll give you an example of a very recent client. Two guys, they started selling mobile phone accessories whilst they were here in the UK at university. Like the idea of staying in the United Kingdom, how were they going to do that? They didn't really want to work for anyone else. They wanted to be in charge of their own destiny. So their idea that they originally came to me with was, well, we'll set up a mobile phone repair app. So it was like a find it app. I've dropped my phone. They've got lots of data around how many phones are damaged a year through accidents. I now need to get my phone repaired. Where do I go to?
Where's my local
In itself, useless idea.
Yeah.
Lacking innovation. Ones exist. Every high street in every city in the world has.
Well, there's loads of mobile
phone repairer. So I rejected it. This is not a good idea. There is no innovation. I should comment that they were looking to get an innovator visa in the United Kingdom. And there is good reason for that, which I'll explain in a moment. So what we did, we worked together of, okay, so what are the angles? What's not being covered? And we decided that what we would put in the application is that in the course of the plan of the business, they would create their own currency. So a digital currency, a cryptocurrency. So in 3 years' time, all of those transactions will be done in that methodology. The innovation is now off the scale.
Wow.
It's completely transformational. No one else is doing that in the marketplace. It was an easy plan to write. Once we'd got the idea, everything else just flowed. One of the guys joined a short course, a 12-week course about cryptocurrencies, disruptive innovation in cryptocurrencies, to fundamentally underpin the business idea. He didn't have to do that. He just did it. They got approved through the endorsement process, which is what you need for the Innovator Visa. And they got their visas from the Home Office for the innovation within 2 weeks. the speed of which it was turned around was phenomenal. They set up in business late last year, and they're doing very well. So, you know, in COVID Britain, they are a thriving success.
Brilliant. Right. So that's an example of the innovator visa. It sounds as if it's very different from a business visa. I get a lot of people saying, oh, the entrepreneur visa, you had to invest £200,000. We could start any business. You know, is this the same as that? And people seem to be under the sort of misconception that it's the same as that. But this is totally different.
It's completely different. And I've been in and around visas now for longer than I care to remember, probably about 15 years. Okay. So I remember T1E well, and I remember the money for that. Totally different. And you are absolutely right that it is like looking at the stars and the sun by way of comparison. The Innovator Visa, there are quite specific requirements that you have to meet.
Run through them.
Number one,
yeah,
you have to invest a minimum of £50,000 in your business.
Right.
Yeah. Number two, you have to have innovation. You have to have a original idea that's adding value. That's why people like me sort of exist, because we add to that plan. I've done 57 innovator visas in the past 15 months. Not one of them, when they came to me, had sufficient levels of innovation. We worked and we grew the innovation and developed the plan. Yeah. So the Home Office is looking for innovation, novelty, new to market, scalability, in other words, the business can grow and employ people, and you have to have viability. In other words, it makes money. Not in its first year, might break even, make even a small loss, but that at the end of 36 months, that business is a viable and going concern. And that you have demonstrated that you have opened a bank account, that you have registered the business with Companies House, and that you are actively working in that business.
So
they're the essential criteria.
So at every stage, it's all about adding value. It's about growing the business, having an income, paying tax. That's the one. It's about employing people. It's not about opening one office with 2 people in it, and then you're like that at the end of 3 years. You need to grow your business. Yeah. And it's about having a novel idea and adding something to the market which isn't already there. So the key, adding value and new addition, that seems to be the theme all about. Why has the government started this? Why has the UK government started this? Do they need this?
So did it need it? The T1E had become abused. There were passengers. Someone would invest in a hotel and 15 people would pile in as investors.
Exactly, yeah.
So the system became abused and it became a little bit tired. So this came into force in March 2019.
Okay.
And in truth, in 2019, there weren't an awful lot of takers because it was new.
Yeah, I think I remember having a look at the figures, and there was about 10 or 11 successful applications throughout the whole year.
It was,
and hence, even lawyers, oh, no one's going to get this. This is just very tight, and it hasn't grown, but it has grown since then.
It's last year was quite pivotal, and I started getting involved in this in the January of last year. As I said, done nearly 60 people through this now. So the government, the British government, the United Kingdom is Innovation Britain.
Okay.
It building itself to be a hub of technology and thought leadership. You know, in a post-Brexit era, that's what Britain's about. So you hear a lot of terms about the triangle, the technical triangle down in London. There's a technology corridor between Oxford and Cambridge that's being developed. Everywhere there's a corridor around technology, and I think you see that in the way that the British government invested in vaccine. Yeah? It's only a type of technology, and we invested millions of pounds all around the world to stimulate the creation of vaccines, more than any other country in the world in terms of R&D investment. That is where Britain is going. So Britain is looking to attract the brightest, idea generators, knowing that some of those will probably go through an iterative cycle. Again, there's no limit to the number of times that you can apply for an innovator visa. You might try one idea that could fail. You can apply for another one. You might transfer your money across to another business to continue that. So, you might spend £10,000. Oh, this is a rubbish idea. This isn't going to work. Okay, I'll take my investment, secure it, put another application in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clock just resets and you start again.
Okay.
One of the great things with the innovator visa is that you can extend that visa, whilst the prize, if you will, at the end is to getting leave to remain after 36 months. And there's no faster way of getting leave to remain in the United Kingdom than this process.
This is the fastest way to get permanent residency.
Yes, it is. But if the business hasn't performed for circumstances beyond your control, you can extend that visa, and you can extend it again and again. And the government, for sure, this year has proven that they are so sympathetic to these businesses. Where they've come out, we've had, obviously the same as everyone else, issues around COVID, lockdown. Some of my clients have thrived, others have struggled. The ones that have struggled, you've got an automatic year's extension.
Wow.
You just have to put an application in, but it was just like 2-page. These are the circumstances. This is what I'm going to do. Extension is granted.
So it seems with this, because the investment amount is not 200,000, it's 50,000, that the government aren't essentially looking for a quick term money grab sort of situation. They're looking for viable businesses who are going to add value, and in the long term, they're willing to invest in people's ideas. It's almost like they're gathering the sort of cream of the world over and say, well, hold on, if you've got a thriving idea, don't do it in your country, do it in our country. And in return, we'll provide you support. And, you get to live in the UK.
That's an excellent way of describing it. We are trying, the UK is trying to cream in the thought leaders, the idea generators, and accept that, not everyone's got £250,000 to come and invest. And that they are looking at wealth creation over the long term rather than simply bringing money in by way of investment. And if you think about it, it's actually a really great strategy, because if you've got intellect, if you've got that intellect working in a space, not everything will succeed statistically. People fail in business, but England's trying to create an environment where that's fine. This one hasn't worked out, so go on to plan B. Now let's help you and give you a mechanism for generating plan B. There are lots of ways in England of working with universities, for example. There are lots of growth hubs almost in every city that can give business advice and help. My own business runs online programs to grow your business and to validate your ideas. That's what we do. That's every day. That's what I do. So the Innovator Visa plays to all of those attributes and is there to bring in people that want to generate a business, want to make a difference. All that business has to do is not be a Me Too business. So you couldn't come here and open a shop.
Yeah, or you couldn't come in and open a restaurant, or or say.
However, you could come here and open a shop if you were doing something really unique in marketing.
It depends what you're selling, and it depends how you sell it.
Depends what you sell,
and how you sell it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So like
in some senses, what I'd say is, there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
And it is about dialogue, and it is about development of ideas. And
they do it by a case basis. So there's no sort of set criteria as to you have to have a certain type of business. But what are the most popular categories of sort of business? I'm assuming from what you're saying, a lot of it is tech-based, maybe even science-based, and sort of IT related, engineering based, maybe. Are they the sort of most popular categories?
If you look at what's been approved, and if you look at, there is something called an endorsing body, and we should probably comment on those now.
We will.
So the process is, you have your idea. You either work with someone like me or you don't. But in the public domain on the UK website, there are over 30 endorsing bodies. Some of those endorsing bodies are thematic and specific of who they will endorse. For example, there is one that will only endorse people working in cybersecurity.
Yeah. And I think I saw
There
one
are others,
for horticulture or plants or something like this. And
that's it.
there was
And there's one
so,
for
yeah,
social. So
that's right. So they're
there are
quite specific.
specialists,
Yeah.
and they're very specific. There are others more generalists, and I work with those endorsers personally. They give me work, and I send people to them for endorsement. And again, that's a handshake relationship whereby I won't submit someone until I know that they're going to be endorsed. So I've got 100% success rate on endorsement. So you get an endorsement. That endorsement goes off to the Home Office. The day you get that letter, you apply for your visa.
Right. So these endorsing bodies, these have been approved by the Home Office?
Correct.
And without the endorsement, we cannot apply for an innovator.
That's absolutely correct. It is a yes, no gating factor.
So these endorsement bodies, they really know what they're looking for specifically, and they know, right, this is what we want, and this is, but I assume they're open to listening to ideas all the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, they get bombarded because, as I say, they sit on the public website, so they get lots of ideas. And that's why I work with them, because often they say, don't understand this, Nigel, what on earth is this person talking about? And then we move forward on that basis. But they are a gate, but again, they are simply looking for something that's innovative, viable, and scalable. The three criteria doesn't change. They have the power to interpret that themselves. And that's by working with them, we've come to a collective agreement about what good looks like. And that's why our success rate's so high.
So these endorsing bodies, they're not really influenced by other people. So we have a lot of people who are saying, oh, is there any way that you can get an endorsement? And I bet they get these emails all the time. Please endorse us. Please endorse us. You tell us what idea to do. And by people who just want to get to the UK. This Innovator Visa isn't for that sort of category of person. I think this is for people who have a specific idea. You have to impress the endorsing body. Yes, your idea might need to be tweaked. And I suppose that's where all the advisors and consultants like yourselves come in. But it's not really for people or anyone to say, if I'm sitting in, say, India or China, and I say, oh, I can get you an endorsement. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So it's probably,
I can almost guarantee that won't happen.
Right. Okay. So it's very much, this is for people, like you said, who are intellectuals and who have got high-end ideas, maybe something that's not even kicked off in their own country yet, but they think, hold on, the UK has the infrastructure to be able to kick it off in the UK. So we have a lot of people who are in the medical field, engineering field. I get a lot of businessmen saying that, you know, we have an idea. And then I'm always like, well, why haven't you started it in India or China or, you know, Sri Lanka? They'll say, well, hold on, we don't really have the infrastructure here for this sort of business. There's not a need for it in our countries, but there is a need for it in the UK. And they might already be doing business with people in the UK. That's the sort of people that need to be able to be looking at the innovator and thinking, well, hold on, we can get in.
That's a perfect profile. And I should more fully answer your question of what categories are there.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is it's across the board. So we've had people from fashion industry that want to use technology in clothing, so heat sensitive materials.
Really?
Including biometrics, understanding pulse and things like that. So probably about 3 in that category personally. Telemedics is an area which is underrepresented, but has huge opportunity for the reasons that you say, that there's increased demand, massive demand for that in England, which is underserved. So it'd be great to see people coming forward in that. IT in terms of software as a service. And when I say that, automating things like accountancy, some legal background, you know, things like on conveyancing, things like that.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence applications would almost certainly go through and hit the innovation bar, yeah, because they're experimental, they're unproven. That there has to be an element of will this work? Question mark.
Okay.
In the plan. It can't be an assured guarantee, because otherwise it's not innovated, is it?
Yeah. Sounds
So
like invention as well.
yeah, well, there's a lot of invention. I mean, one of the nicer programs I worked with a young designer, recently graduated from university, had a lot of ideas about sports clothing, but using haptic elements, so sensory elements within the clothing. He's working on a new trainer, and his idea isn't take these to market. His idea is to create intellectual property and then license that to people like Puma, Nike.
Adidas.
Let other people make it, and he'll be a think tank.
Wow.
So his business is very small.
Yeah.
His investment is in research, and he may employ at the end of 3 years only 3 or 4 people, but he'll be selling licenses, user agreements, things like that. His vision is enormous, and
that's because he's bringing something new.
He's bringing something new, and there's a great case. His inspiration was a company called Gymshark in the United Kingdom, and this guy is under 30, and his novelty was to create seamless gym wear, because the seams chafe against you when you're a marathon runner or doing a triathlon. I do none of these things, so I don't know about this subject.
Oh, do I, mate? I don't even know what it means.
But that company now, in about 7 years, is now worth over £1 billion.
Wow.
Now, you don't have to do that kind of scale. If you can create just a good, successful company, that's fine. But it just shows the potential. And that's why it kind of answers your earlier question as well. That's the kind of potential we want to bring to Britain. So for every 100 people that come in, one of them may have that potential.
So, as you know, India and countries like China and India are the mother of the word invention.
Yep.
So there's an invention for everything. So we might have a lot of people now who are sitting in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Delhi, you know, in Sri Lanka at the moment, who are thinking, well, hold on, this is stuff that I've got ideas about, but I've been afraid to test the water. You know, there's no market for it in India. And is this, you know, I've got no one to listen to me. So are we just saying, well, hold on, don't be afraid, send us your idea, and we'll have a look and see if it's viable, and if it does qualify for an innovator?
I think that's absolutely what we're saying. And there's a number of mechanisms that we can do that with. But we have almost like a crib sheet of which you just sketch out your idea.
Yeah.
That is a starting point. Your starting point is putting your idea to paper, and then it moves into what we call what's your big idea. Right. And then we validate that, and then you decide whether you're going to move on or not. And that's where we work with people, because we add value. If we can't add value, then there's no point in us existing. So our program is, what's your big idea? You write down, I want to open up a shop.
Yeah.
Bit more detail than that.
Yeah.
And then we say, okay, what's the innovation? And literally last week, I had someone get through the endorsement process with a shop. But the innovation was in the way that they were going to gather market data on their sales. And I won't go into the detail of that because it's quite complex, but that person was endorsed. And that person has taken quite a long time to decide what they wanted to do. Yeah. Investment was only £50,000, so the absolute minimum. And they're endorsed, and their visa application went through on Monday of this week.
Nigel, with this, once people are over here, they have to be proactive in their business. They can't, it's not just about being a sleeping partner in a business like people were doing with the T1 entrepreneur And it's not about, right, I've invested an amount, I'm in the UK now, the UK won't check up, because the endorsing body very much monitors you for the period of the 3 years, right? And they can withdraw their endorsement at any time, from what I've read.
Absolutely correct. What happens, as I say, there's a pre-endorsement process, which is business planning. Does it meet the requirements of the Home Office? There's the endorsement. It is a requirement of the endorsement that there are continuous touch points, and they are specifically at 6, 12, 18 months to make sure that you are working towards a plan. And then at the end of the 36 months, as part of the application for the leave to remain, the endorser has to give a viability statement. That is simply that he believes that the business is viable for the next 12 months. So it's a stamp of approval, if you will. Now, again, it's worth commenting because those touch points are fairly light touch. You know, have you set up the business with Companies House? Yes, here is a registration number. Have you set up a bank account? Yes, here it is. What are you doing in the business?
So is the business running? Is it running?
It's a business reality check. But you're absolutely right. It's no point anyone going on this and thinking, I've got this now.
Yeah.
I'll sit back.
Yeah.
And
after 3 years, the endorsing body's going to give me a letter. I'll be fine. Yeah. Even if I don't have any accounts or pay any tax or pay any PAYE, or, you know, I don't have any show I'm doing a business, it's all right. All I've got to do is show the money and come in. And that was what was happening with Tier.
That's exactly why T1E fell into disrepute and why they finished it, because it will end in tears, that approach. Right. And it will end in tears after 6 months. So there's no point doing it.
So to summarize and to recap, if you have an innovative idea, which is you're going to add value to something, it's a new idea, and you think it's viable in the UK, you're going to set up business here, you can employ people, you could convince an endorsing body, you know, it's something that you think it's workable, then you can get an innovator visa as long as you're endorsed by an endorsing body. That allows you to come over here initially for a period of 3 years. And if you run it successfully and grow the business and show that you're doing well, then after the 3 years, you can settle in the UK. Or you can, if not, if you've got hiccups along the way, you can always extend it for a period, and it's extendable for X amount of years. There's no limit on it. So is that what essentially we're saying that an innovator visa is?
That is nicely summarized. It's very flexible, it's adaptable, and I would say if you've got an idea, give it your best shot, because in some senses, what have you got to lose?
And Nigel, you yourself work with a lot of endorsing bodies. You know, you're pretty much in touch with all of them. They approach you, you approach them. So thank you that you've given your time out to explain what an innovator is. I think I'm a lot more clearer on it now than what I was. And I know people watching this show are going to be a lot clearer. If you think that you have an innovative idea and you want to qualify for an innovator visa, then by all means, get in contact with us. Our contact details are in the bio details on the video. And if you just click on the details of the video, the paragraph underneath the video, you'll see all our details there. We can put you in touch with Nigel. We'll then have a look at your idea, see if it's viable or not. But by all means, I think it's very important to say, don't be put off as well, Nigel, isn't it? So don't just think, okay, only 11 people got it in 2019, and last year only 100 people got it. You know, is my idea going to succeed or not? Because I suppose these ideas come from all weird places and weird thoughts, and you've got a mixture of everything, like you said, right?
Yeah. I mean, my client base is from Canada, America, South America. A lot of people from India. It's probably worth noting that most people that have got the innovator visa have actually originated in India.
Oh, right, okay.
By far, and that you know, an order of scale.
I did tell you this at the
start. Yeah, India, and I've had the privilege of traveling in India and spending a lot of time in India personally. India is such a rich country in terms of intellect and idea generation. And sometimes the environment isn't best for releasing that. I believe that Britain is a great environment for releasing that
Yeah.
innovation and that idea. There are so many vehicles now which we can capitalize on that and make people successful.
And we've already said that Britain is already looking for the cream of invention, for the cream of the innovators. It's looking for people with new ideas who are perhaps cannot do it in their country or just want to do these ideas in Britain. So if you do have an idea and you think, well, hold on, I might be wasted back home, but in Britain, I could definitely scale this up and it could definitely work and you can show a demand for it. It's definitely worth getting in contact with us. So if you do have any of them ideas, please get in contact. Don't be put off. We've told you what we're not looking for, or what the UK government is not looking for. It's not looking for your money. It's not looking for you as a sleeping partner here. It's not looking for a way to get your family indefinite leave here. It's not a way for you to just sit back once you're here and not be proactive. But if you do qualify and you think the Innovator Visa is for you, then by all means, because there's no cap on, there's no limit on it from what I understand, right?
That's absolutely right. There's no cap. And where we are now, it's a little bit like a holiday brochure. The sun's shining, COVID's coming to an end. Now is the time. Don't spend another 12 months thinking about this. Act. Get your idea assessed. Send it to us. We'll give a view.
Brilliant.
We'll have a look at things. And
Brilliant.
we'll work with you if we think it's appropriate.
Nigel, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you very much for your time. Made it very clear. Hopefully people will get in contact. And like I said, then we can have a look. It is the fastest way I've ever seen to get permanent residency in the UK. And I'll give you the equivalent. If I marry a British citizen, it will take me 5 years to settle here. And marriage is always seen as the quickest way in any country to settle. This you can settle in 3 years. So it's,
and you don't have to get married.
well, you can marry who you want. Doesn't have to be a British citizen. So yeah, it's a great thing. And that, I suppose, in itself shows you that the scheme is still in its infancy and the government really want this to succeed. And they really, that was because the incentive that they offer is much more better than any other visa. But I think it does show you that. Nigel, thank you very much. Hope to be in contact soon and hope to hear from you soon as the scheme changes and you keep us updated with all of the changes and all of the details. There are other things such as startup visas, which we'll discuss with you in another show that we'll do. And, because that's quite, people are getting confused with that as well. They seem to think that's a tier 1 entrepreneur as well. And I'd rather you tell them than me spending every other phone call telling them, no, this is not a tier 1 entrepreneur. So thanks again, Nigel.
I look forward to our next conversation.
I do. Thank you for your time. And also, you're planning a tour of India soon. So
as soon really as is practical from a flight point of view, yes. So haven't been to India for a couple of years now, so I'm suffering withdrawal symptoms of enjoying some good food. So yeah, as soon as is practical, a little bit later on this year, from the summer onwards, I think that will be possible. So hopefully we'll be able to see each other out in India and meet some of the potential people that want to innovate.
Brilliant. So we are planning a tour of India soon once the flight restrictions have lifted, and we'll be in your city, whether it's Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi. So Nigel will be there. You can meet him in person and discuss all your details with him while I enjoy the food. So you could definitely discuss your details. And by all means, get in touch. It's a great scheme. Thank you very much, Nigel. We will chat soon. That's all for today. Hopefully that's cleared everything up for everyone as to what an innovator is. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next show.